Hello, Namaskar. Welcome to my pod, the CAA Show. CAA is all of us conversations and analysis. My name is Juggi Bhasin. To become a subscriber of the show, all you have to do is to press the red button on your screen. Subscription is, of course, completely free. Would also really appreciate if you could like this video and share this video with your friends. All right. So the situation between India and Pakistan is, of course, very, very tense. And that's, of course, an understatement. And practically everyone, I'm talking of everyone in the subcontinent, perhaps even in the world, everyone expects India to launch a military strike. When that could happen, it could happen in the next 24 hours, it could happen in a week, or God knows when. It could happen anytime. Nobody knows. But everyone expects that. But I'm arguing in this podcast that, of course, the kinetic action, the military action is absolutely essential. But perhaps even more important, the waiting game is also very, very important because this interim period between the Pahalgam attack and between what India is going to do next, this interim period, this prelude, as it were, is very, very important because it's been, I think, about 12 days since the Pahalgam attack has happened. And so much has happened in these 12 days. It has thrown up so many possibilities. It has revealed so much that I am arguing that on three parameters. Now, India is in a much, much better position. The first parameter being that there has been total exposure of what is happening vis-a-vis India and Pakistan. There has been also massive exposure of what is happening internally within our own country. That's the first part, the exposure. The second part is the psychological warfare, which is going on between both the countries, which has huge ramifications. And the third aspect, which I'm arguing, is the preparation which India needs to launch a military strike. I'm going to talk about all three headings in this podcast. But let's start with the number one, perhaps to my mind, the more important heading of this podcast, which is that so much has been exposed in these 12 days. It's like India has almost like stumbled upon a treasure trove of revelations, of the thinking of the other side, of the thinking of so many people within our own country. So much has been revealed in these 12 days. And in point form, I'm going to give you these revelations which have come tumbling out, which of course are going to help India definitely in the long run. The first important thing, we started the entire thing, that is the day after the Pahalgam attack, because everyone knew that it was instigated by the army chief of Pakistan, General Munir's speech. And then the needle of suspicion obviously swung towards him, and that it was an army operation. It was absolutely clear to everyone. But that was what we knew at that point in time. But so much more has come out after that. And the biggest thing which is now emerging from Pakistan is that the Pakistani, by and large, the Pakistani politician, that is what they call them, senators, the ministers in the cabinet of the Pakistani government, they are nothing short of loons. They're nothing short of absolutely madcap people, because one and all of them practically have been speaking in completely idiotic, in completely, as if somebody has gone berserk. At the drop of the hat, they are dropping nuclear threats. They are dropping, we will bomb the dams on the River Indus in India. We are going to launch a nuclear strike. All of them. In fact, one lady senator of Pakistan, she even went to the extent of saying that, oh, our army chief is going to, go to the Babri Masjid and have lunch there or some rubbish like that. But the short point being that the Pakistani polity has been exposed, that we always thought that the army was extremist, and there was a body of opinion within India which felt that maybe some of the politicians in Pakistan were sane, they were sober, they could be objective in their thinking. But unfortunately, practically every voice which has been coming from Pakistan borders on the insanity. And therefore, the distinguishment which we used to do between the military and between the polity of Pakistan, I think no longer exists. They are loons, one and all, and that has to be remembered firm and squarely. Number two, the Prime Minister of Pakistan, Mr. Shehbaz Sharif, is a clown act. He's a total clown act. Look at all his statements which have been coming since his crisis broke out. He has not addressed the issue at all. He, in fact, comes across as a very weak and a waffling kind of a character, somebody who is parroting probably the army chief's line, who has no mind of his own, who doesn't even understand the existential crisis which faces Pakistan, which is what is going on in his own country, the imminent danger which Pakistan faces. He has no clue about that. This is not a person, a serious person you can do business with. You can maybe, as people are very fond of saying, start back channel talks or even open direct talks with him. He's not that person. He just doesn't have any authority. Actually, he doesn't have any sobriety. There have been videos which have been coming out which show him, making absolutely a fool of himself when he is speaking in the public. So the Prime Minister of Pakistan is a washout, somebody you can't even think in your wildest dreams that you can have a negotiation or a talk with. Negotiation probably is the wrong word, but you can have some kind of a sensible talk with a man. It's not possible. Then the other revelation which has come out, which has exposed Pakistan, is that all along there are people, certainly within our own country, who have been feeding us this narrative that there is a huge liberal segment in Pakistan which genuinely wants a rapprochement between India and Pakistan, and that sober-minded people of both the countries should come together. Well, I have news for all those people. You really, before the government banned these Pakistani channels, and I was listening to the doyen of the liberal voice in Pakistan, Najam Sethi. Listen to some of the stuff which Najam Sethi is saying on his own channel. And it is shocking. It is absolutely shocking. He is giving you this impression that India, to cover up its so-called terrorist funding and activities in Balochistan, has orchestrated this false flag, he calls within quotes, false flag operation, and that the Indus Water Treaty, we don't have to care about it. They can't do anything to us, and we can fix India anytime. This is Najam Sethi, the so-called liberal voice of Pakistan. So if anybody had any illusions about Najam Sethi or the liberal ilk or the liberal segment in Pakistan, then I have news for you, ladies and gentlemen. There is no such liberal segment. It's a figment of the imagination of certainly people on our side within our own country who have always been saying, oh, there is a liberal voice in Pakistan you have to listen to. Then the complete sense of, I would say, the complete sense of wildness which has gripped the general public in Pakistan, because I don't see any protests, I don't see any voices being raised, I don't see even the farmers who are going to be most affected by this entire tension which is going on. Nobody has raised any voices against the Pakistani army, against the Pakistani polity, certainly not from the PPP or from other groups were in Pakistan. Nobody, in fact, everybody seems to be very comfortable supporting the army general's line. So we keep distinguishing, as I said before, between the public and the army. I'm afraid that whatever we distinguish, that no longer exists. It certainly wasn't there in the first place, to my mind. But if there was proof needed, then the proof is there, because no voices have been raised against what the army is doing in Pakistan, where the polity of Pakistan is leading its own people toward the future of the country. It is now in the hands of people who are utterly irresponsible, who appear to be almost fanatical, uncouth people who, are not even fit enough to sit in a room of civilized people in a room. They are not those kind of people at all. So the Punjabi Bluster, as I would say, of Pakistan is in full swing. Minister after minister, the Minister of Interior, the Minister of Information and Broadcasting, so many other ministers in the so-called cabinet, in the illusionary cabinet of the Prime Minister, they have been speaking. We will launch nuclear missiles against India. We will bomb the dams on the Indus River, and all kinds of rubbish which is coming out daily. And therefore the almost fanatical, the sense of non-reason, the sense of something which is completely removed from reality. All that can be seen in the pronouncements of Pakistan. It's a nation which appears at one level to be in complete panic. At another level, this other side of the coin is they are doing this bluff and bluster and this sword brandishing. All that is going on. All that is in full display, which shows a nation which has lost its moorings, which is not, there is no center which holds that country. All this has come out in the 12 days and whatever we have seen. And this is not tales which people are carrying. This is in video after video, in pronouncement after pronouncements of all the important people in Pakistan. It's there for us to see and to hear. It's all there out in the open. And in contrast, how has India behaved? And I have a phrase for it. India has behaved with what I call ruthless calm. That's the way to describe how India has behaved. We are ruthlessly calm about the entire thing. Our objectives are very, very clear. The objectives were given actually on day 2 of the Pahalgam attack, where the Prime Minister said that we will pick on all these people, these perpetrators, we will bring them to justice, and not only them, but the people who masterminded this attack. Everyone behind them will be dealt with fair and square. And that's the line which is being repeated again and again by the defense minister, by the prime minister. That's the line. But nobody, and notice very, very carefully, is talking of the nuclear option for India. Of course, India has a huge nuclear option. But nobody is giving this blustery statements. Oh, we will launch a nuclear attack on Pakistan, this and that. We are keeping our powder dry. Our forces are in harness. They're in complete readiness. The Army, the Navy, the Air Force, all the service chiefs have met the Prime Minister. The war machinery, as it was, in full harness. The right time, the time of choosing of the moment when the attack will be launched. Of course, these are secrets which the government only knows, nobody else knows. But the point which I'm making is there is a sense of ruthless calm. And also, there is a very other important factor, which is work, which the government is trying to project to the people all the time. There's a term for it. It is called BAU, business as usual. And that is something which is remarkable about our government right now. They're carrying on BAU, business as usual. And what do I mean by that? It's not only that the entire cabinet or the prime minister, everybody's running about talking about war, imminent war with Pakistan. None of that. The forces in readiness, the directive has been given that these perpetrators and the backers and the masterminds will be punished, but business goes on as usual. The Prime Minister, for instance, some days back was in Bombay. He was addressing a film gathering. Today, I think he was at some khel or a sports major event of the country. He was there. The ministers are going about their job. Some ministers are even traveling abroad on work. If they have to meet on trade talks and other talks, business is going on as usual. India is projecting that, guys, we can handle Pakistan. It's no big deal for us. But the affairs of the nation, the economic prosperity of the nation is also very paramount to us. And that work continues alongside. That is not going to be disrupted. It's not that the government is blaring over loudspeakers. Everybody go and hide in bunkers somewhere or go and take refuge somewhere. The bombs are going to start falling or some panic. Nothing of that sort. Nothing of that sort. India is very, very calm because of a very ruthlessly calm leadership right now. That is, of course, there for everyone to see. So that's the other point which I wanted to let you know. Then the it as I said, it tells you what mature nations are all about. How mature nations behave at the time of a crisis, at the time of adversity. The way India is behaving is how a mature nation behaves, in sharp contrast to the way Pakistan is behaving. But as I was talking of, the theme of this first segment is exposure. And therefore, what has also been exposed in the entire process in these 12 days is the state of our opposition parties. And it is pitiful that after maybe a first couple of days where they gave some kind of support to the government, now they are back to their usual games of questioning the Balakot strike, of questioning the credentials of our armed forces, of raising all kinds of doubts. All kinds of politicians are doing it, and it shows you more than anything else, it exposes the venality of the thinking of some of our opposition parties and important leaders, that they can even stoop to borderline anti-national, positions, just to score points against the government, which is so disheartening at that level. And therefore, the most refreshing thing which I have seen, and that is again, by the way, a big exposure, which I'm going to talk about, is contrast all these opposition parties and contrast, so far at least, with the behavior of the Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir, Mr. Abdullah. And he has been the voice of sobriety, of calm. He came, in fact, there were visuals yesterday of this man meeting with the Prime Minister. It looked like a very meaningful and a very good meeting. And he has made some very positive statements. He has said two major things. He said, this is not the time to talk about statehood for Jammu and Kashmir. These maybe can think, he says, at the moment, we certainly don't deserve it. Maybe we can talk about it later. And the second point, he has said it, and he has admitted so much that yes, maybe there has been local element which aided and abetted these terrorists who came in from Pakistan, who were sent by the Pakistani military. And so that's a silver lining. That is a big thing, a huge exposure to my mind, that at least so far, at least, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but the Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir has behaved at the moment, at least, very responsibly. So all congratulations and kudos to the man who is heading this state right now. So these series of exposures have happened, and I think it's a treasure trove, because now we know the nature of the enemy, which is Pakistan. We know the nature of the internal, the enemy within, I call it, in our own country. We know the nature, that to what levels they can go to, or rather they can sink to. We know about that also. We also know that even among the opposition, there are certain parties, and I gave you the example of the Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir, who have taken sensible line, which is a silver lining, which is a good thing. And right now, all these are inputs which the government is putting in, is what is called, these inputs are going in really to factor the response against Pakistan. These inputs are very important, because before these 12 days, we probably had some inkling about all these things, but we were not very sure. But now we know. 12 days has revealed a lot ever since the Pahalgam attack. And if there is maybe one silver lining which is emerging after the attack, it is this, that the waiting game has yielded these fruitful results. And therefore, even if the waiting game stretches on for some more time, it's all right. We should not be in a hurry or in desperation for a kinetic strike, because these are all inputs which the government is gathering, and they're going to use it very effectively when they strike against Pakistan. So that's you have to remember. And one last point about the exposure. Let's talk a little bit about the international support, or the lack of support. That is also important. What has also happened in these 12 days, now we know the positions various countries are taking. So it's absolutely clear to us that Turkey, Malaysia, and I saw today not a very great statement by China. Now we know the countries who are totally, in a certain sense, hostile to us. There has been also, I would add a little bit concern. I'm not too sure I can use any other word beyond that with what has been going on vis-a-vis Russia, which is surprising because Russia has always been, we have always considered Russia to be a very, very close friend. Um, uh, See, what why am I using the word concern? Because by the way, they have given us something called the IGLA S shoulder fired air defense system, which is a very good thing. Which is a what we these are things we need right now to bolster our air defenses. So no complaints out there. But see, they haven't really come out in full throated support blaming Pakistan. And there was something interesting which they are doing it from their point of view that the foreign minister has been talking to both India and Pakistan, and they are ready to offer their service for mediation. And they know very well our line that we do not take mediation of outside parties. So why are they doing that? So it's a little bit concerning, but I guess see when the Russia-Ukraine war was going on, we were also kind of had positioned ourselves as neutral, that we were saying that we are not supporting any one particular side particularly, and then the statement of this is not an era of war probably didn't go down very, very well. Maybe in Russia, who knows? I mean, I'm just surmising. So Russia is not even a concern, I would say. A little bit of eyebrows raised that we probably expected more from Russia because it is such a close friend. With the US, by and large, the statements have been fairly positive, so no complaints there. With the EU, of course, as always with the EU, it's going to be a double-edged sword. At one level, they've all condemned the attack. Nobody, of course, has condemned Pakistan directly. But then there are now voices beginning to come out, which are the top diplomat in the EU has been putting India and Pakistan on the same pedestal, and the foreign minister has spoken against it, and he has said that thank you, but we don't need we need friends in the world. We don't need preachers, referring to the EU. So, as I in the segment of exposure, let me say the international support now we also know. And after all this is over, then we're going to tailor our responses to countries like Turkey, countries like China, countries like Malaysia, all these countries, and let's see, the list could grow also because there are some countries to say that Pakistan has no support left in the world is not true. They still have some countries who are backing them. So we have to know this very, very carefully because these inputs are critical. We have to know because there's going to be a post Pahalgam. There's going to be what's going to happen after this, after all these kinetic actions and the things settle down. Then there's going to be a kind of a going over that who was with us, who was against us. That's all going to happen. So these inputs are very, very important. Now, let me come to segment number 2, psychological warfare. Psychological warfare is, of course, the key in all these things. What's happening in Pakistan, and I would call it like a psychological meltdown of that country. See, there is something very strange which is going on the outer facade of Pakistan, whether, as I explained to you earlier, whether it is that of the army, armed forces, whether it is that of the polity, or even that of the public. It is this total macho Punjabi bluster that we are King Kong, we can take on the enemy, we can deal with India, we can destroy their dams on the Indus, we will throw nuclear missiles at them, we will wipe them out. All that is there, but internally they are what is called a psychological. There is there's a meltdown which is going on. They are extremely on a weak footing. They're very, very shaky. People, I think, are very, very fearful out there at what's going to go on. Um, and always the elite has more to lose in such matters. The poor, as it is, are dying. They don't have enough to eat. There's no electricity. There are so many problems, economic issues in Pakistan. They probably don't even think they are there. engaged in this daily battle of where to get the next meal from. It things are so bad in Pakistan, but the elite, the military, the landowners, the Punjabi landowners, all these people are actually, I think, are very, very fearful. What's going to happen to their lands? What's going to happen to their incomes? What's going to happen even to their lives? Actually, they're fearful about all that, and therefore, to cover that up, is this big Punjabi bluster that, oh, we will take on India, we will destroy India, we will do this and do that. So there's a psychological meltdown which is going in Pakistan, which is fascinating because you learn so much from it. And therefore, what we are also doing in the process is that every day which passes, every 24 hours which passes, we are wearing down Pakistan more and more psychologically. They are, as it is, they're literally melting. It's like an ice cream scoop which is melting in 45 degrees temperature. That is what is really happening to Pakistan. They are literally in a state of meltdown. And therefore, the Pakistanis also know why also they are very, very worried is because here the IWT, the Indus Water Treaty, they know that things have changed almost completely now. This is not some bluff and bluster from India's side. This could be a thing of permanent change, the IWT. And then we have stopped trade with them, which is going to affect them impact very, very badly because they need pharmaceutical raw materials from us. Almost 40% of that is supplied by India. That's going to impact them. All trade has been stopped. Then the air flights. Please remember, Pakistan earns revenue through all the flights which go over its airspace, from the Indian planes, the civilian planes which go over its airspace. That has all been stopped. They lose on their revenue. And it's not only the Indian civilian planes, it's also a lot of international carriers which have stopped flying over Pakistan because nobody trusts Pakistan right now. And therefore, it's a loss, a major loss of revenue for Pakistan. Now, these are things which can't be absolutely great for your psychological bearing. And on top of that, you have this complete idiot of the army, this army chief of Pakistan. He, climbs on a tank and he's addressing as if he's some major, as if he has won some major tank battle in history or something, addressing his troops. Photo ops like that actually tell you the real sorry, pitiful state of Pakistan, of its people, of its polity, of its armed forces. It's like something which is completely hollow from within, but it is trying to pretend that it is worth something. It is absolutely worthless, which is the truth of the matter. So the psychological warfare is India's winning that by its sheer calmness, which it is displaying at every turn. And that is what is going to hold us in good stead. And the third point and the last point, which I want to make, is that this period has also been a godsend for us in a certain sense, these 12 days, to prepare. What are we preparing about? Is it our offensive capability? Yes, but the offensive capability was always there. I think what we are really were preparing for in these 12 years is a defensive capability. We are stitching together our air defense systems, and there are many of them which India has. For instance, you have the S-400, you have the Akash, you have the Barak 8 missiles, Manpads, Igla S. Then there are two important things called the Prithvi Air Defense (PAD) at high altitudes, and then your Advanced Air Defense (AAD) at the lower altitude. So my own feeling is, and nobody's told me this. This is just complete surmise, and this is my complete guesswork. But I think what we are really doing is that we are linking together our air defense networks to provide a kind of a shield against incoming missile attacks. So I think this has been a godsend. This period has been this godsend for us that we can prepare our air defense capabilities. I think that was the key issue which nobody was talking about, but I think this really has to be going on. We are at a forward basis, at important installations, at our major cities like Delhi, for instance. The air defense capabilities are being bolstered, are being made almost missile proof, as it were. Let's see what happens. What's going to happen in the future, nobody knows. But to my mind, I think that's what is really going on. So when we look at the entire picture from a bird's eye view, then what really is emerging is this: that in a way, a lot of people are getting tired of this waiting game. Oh, when is India going to attack? When is India going to launch an attack? Guys, hold on. Mature nations don't behave like that. Mature nations first cover their backyard. They first cover up their defenses. They first bolster the defenses. They sharpen their offensive capabilities and then they launch that attack. But even before that, what they also do is they wear down the enemy. And in short, what we have been doing is we are wearing down Pakistan. There's a word called dissembling. They are completely dissembling. They're coming apart. All these grandeurs, all these over the top statements of Pakistani politicians, of their army, and all these other people shows you a nation or a country which is coming apart at the seams. It's splintering, and not only in Balochistan, POK, Sindh, and all these. We know the fault lines, the Pashtuns. The country is actually splintering from within, and all these statements are proof of that. So let it go on some more, and then when the right point comes, India is going to strike. That, of course, is a secret which only the top people in the Indian government know. None of us know it. But till that time, hold your horses, have patience, wait and watch what the government is doing. Right now, whatever they're doing is a good thing. And so, on that note, I come to the end of this podcast. I hope you liked it. You like this show? Do subscribe to it. And on this note, it's goodbye and cheers. Till next time.